Simmons. Simmons going to drive downhill. Floater falls. Simmons going over the top.
Now Deck to try to get the Lumberjacks the lead, and she will! Chance for a three-point play.
3-2 to the basket, puts it up, no! Hammer dunk with 1 second left!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Straight Outta WAC After Hours. I believe my microphone might be a little loud. I'm going to have to turn that down a little bit, maybe. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Anyways, big night around the WAC, kind of a wild night, actually. So we're going to check in on some things. I had a goal reached. I don't know what that goal was. That's kind of interesting. So Daryl's going to join me here in just a minute, but big day around the WAC. The regular season title races have heated up after some wild finishes in Texas today. GCU lost for the second time. We'll get to that in just a minute. Tarleton won to stay within a half game of the Lopes. The Lopes get their last bye the last week of the regular season. They get a whole week off before they host CBU at GCU Arena. So that race is going to be fun to watch. Some teams clinched or punched their ticket to WAC Vegas. So that's nice to watch, or that's nice to see. Seattle U and the UT Arlington men both punched their tickets today. The Utah Tech women, behind a massive performance by their star point guard, also punched their ticket today. So, and one team was eliminated from WAC Vegas contention today with their loss at Seattle U. So we'll get to all that. We'll get to a surprising win in South Texas that has created some chaos on the women's side. And it's going to be a fun show. So stick with us, and we'll get to it in just a moment.
WAC Vegas is back. The best fans, championship basketball, all in exciting Las Vegas. Join us March 13th through the 16th at the Orleans Arena for the 2024 Hercules Tires WAC Basketball Tournament. Don't miss the crowning of a men's and women's champion. For more information, go to wacsports.com/WACVegas.
All right, guys, we're back. WAC Vegas is in less than, it's 2.5 weeks now. 3 weeks from tonight, there will be a men's basketball champion crowned. There will be a women's basketball champion crowned, and we will know who is representing the WAC at the NCAA tournament this year. Last year was Southern Utah on the women's side. Last year was GCU on the men's side. Who's it going to be this year? The other thing is with Tarleton and Utah Tech both eligible for the WAC tournament, if they get in, if Tarleton or Utah Tech were to win the WAC tournament, the highest seeded team from the resume seeding system would represent the WAC at the NCAA tournament. So just want to make that very clear. Let's go to our first comments. Tim said, I called the Tarleton loss, but damn, ACU too. It happens. It's a tough road trip to West Texas, and ACU has been playing better as of late since that win over SFA. And then Tarleton, I mean, you know what happens at Wisdom Gym. That's pretty crazy. So I'm going to bring in Daryl. He is at a high school media room right now. He's been covering some high school sports, but we got some breakdowns of some ball games today. I want to start on the women's side in St. George. Breaunna Gillen goes for 38 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. She was 5 points away from setting the Utah Tech single game record for most points in a ball game in the Division I era. That is what she's done basically all season. Maybe not 30-point performances, but that's what Breaunna Gillen has done all season long. And the good news is with the win, 88-69 over UT Arlington at Burns Arena, Utah Tech punched their ticket to WAC Vegas. Daryl, what do you think about this awesome display? She had 30 points with 3.5 minutes left in the third quarter.
I mean, what did I say on Twitter? That's the preseason player of the year doing preseason and player of the year things. And I don't know if she's still in the race for player of the year, but that's quite the big performance in a game Utah Tech absolutely had to have in order to clinch their WAC Vegas spot. And for JD Gustin's crew,
and they only played with 6 players.
That's been so banged up this year. It's really a testament to that system that they are able to keep finding ways to win and be in this position for a top 4 seed to not have to play on Wednesday. That's huge for a group of starters that arguably has to lead the league in minutes.
Yep. Yeah. Right now, Gillen's averaging almost 17 points a game, 7.2 rebounds, and she has 131 assists. I'm not quite sure what the average there is over 24 games. She missed a few games with a concussion too. So, yeah, big win for JD Gus behind a big performance from his star point guard. And then the women's race is still undecided with Grand Canyon, California Baptist, both with 2 losses. Like we said, Grand Canyon gets that bye on the final week of the regular season, so that's when they'll catch up. California Baptist will be able to catch up in the win column, possibly. Both GCU and CBU won today.
Let's talk about that CBU 3-point shooting performance today.
Yeah, 23 pointers from Jared Olson's crew today in Riverside in their win over Tarleton, and then GCU just did their thing, getting after it defensively against Abilene Christian. And I think I mentioned that. If you can hear my niece, she's out in the other room kind of crying. She's getting cranky. I apologize for that, everybody. See, you can hear it right there, right? I'm hoping that we can put her to sleep or something like that. But my wife's out there hanging out with her. So forgive me for that little whine that comes through at times. It's just my little niece that we have for the weekend. Anyways, I said in my preview, if GCU can slow down ACU's offense, they win, because that's how GCU women win games, is playing defense, right?
Yeah, and the story has been, can you force this Abilene Christian team into tough shots?
Yep.
Can you turn the comfortable 3-pointer into a contested 2? And I think what impressed me the most was GCU on the offensive end. Grant you, I wasn't watching this game. I was just watching it on the monitor, but after struggling from the floor mightily against Tarleton on Thursday, they were near 50% in total and from the 3-point line. Yeah. So that's a good feeling for Molly Miller's team to have going into Nacogdoches next week. But before that, they have to make a quick stop in Edinburgh, and it's Jared Olson's crew who gets to start the week in Nacogdoches.
Yeah, big road trip for the Lancers and the Lopes to SFA that could either vault SFA into the regular season title discussion or eliminate the Lady Jacks from that race. So, and the Lady Jacks smoked Utah Valley today. I think it was a 49-point victory for the Lady Jacks over Utah Valley today in Nacogdoches. So,
and speaking of the Lady Jacks, Avery Van Sickle, what a week she had.
Yeah. What did she? How many did she hit today?
I think she had 22 points. I think it was another 4 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That regular season race is pretty wild right now. Like I said, that could be decided maybe this week, depending on what happens in Nacogdoches. Maybe UTRGV plays spoiler. They're going to have to get a win, I think, Lane Lord's crew, after losing to Seattle U at home today. That's created a chaos. What do I want to say?
Seattle, who I mean, a month ago we thought the Redhawks were dead in the water.
Yeah, and now they're at 4-13. Utah Valley's 4-13. Tarleton's 4-12. Southern Utah had the day off. They're at 5-11. UTRGV is at 5-11. So there is a lot going on for that 7th and 8th spot at WAC Vegas. So I mean, it's going to be a wild ride on the women's side.
What a response by Skylar Young's bunch. What did they lose? Their first 10 games or something like that? They beat Utah Valley in the Red Hawk Center. They lose another 10 or 12 games. I think a number of them were close. But it seems like the Red Hawks are putting things together at the right time.
Yeah, the only problem with the Red Hawks, is their final schedule. I mean, actually, their schedule's kind of favorable. They're at UT Arlington. That's not favorable. They're at UT Arlington on Thursday. Then they have the week off to get ready to host Abilene Christian and Tarleton to end the regular season. So they may be able to play their way in. We'll see what happens with Southern Utah and who was the other one? Southern Utah and UTRGV. Because like I said, UTRGV hosts CBU and GCU or GCU and then CBU this next week. So not an easy road trip. Yeah. A lot of noise coming from my room over there. I think I need to put something in front of my door. Anyway, sorry, guys. Let's get to the game of the day. I know a lot of people have been commenting on this. Martin Kelly with this is going to right into our topic. Guys, I was wrong on Twitter when I said GCU deserved to be ranked. From my point of view, GCU should have about 6 or 7 more losses. Instead, they've gotten away with wins. I don't think they've gotten away with wins. They figured out ways to win. That's what a veteran team does, where they start attacking late in a ball game and they take over and they get to the free throw line, which, that happens. My thought, first off, from the Thursday night game, and I've told people this, is that Tarleton did to GCU down the stretch or with 11 minutes to go. Tarleton did to GCU what GCU has done to everybody else this season. Tarleton attacked. They forced the issue. They said, you're either going to foul us or we're going to hit buckets, and you're either going to foul us or we're going to go to the free throw line, or we're going to hit buckets and we're going to take control of this ball game. That is what GCU has done all season long. And Tarleton decided we're going to play their game to beat them at their game. It was just like the 1980 Olympic Games when the U.S. hockey team said, what was his name? What was his name, Daryl? Herb Brooks.
Yep.
Said that we're going to take their game and we're going to shove it right back in their faces, or whatever that quote was. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
It's been nothing short of remarkable what Joseph Jones has done in Stephenville in the absence of Billy Gillespie. And I think Tarleton would be absolutely insane to not promote him if Gillespie does not return. But with a new AD, you don't know which way the wind is blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they were 2-2 when he took over. So they are 18-5 with him as the head coach. They have now eclipsed the 20-win mark for the first time in the Division I era. But I want to go back to that game on Thursday. Like I said, Tarleton did to GCU what GCU's done to everybody else. Today in Abilene, when the Wildcats pulled off the win, yes, the Wildcats shot more free throws. Did they get more calls? Probably. That happens on the road. Sometimes you just don't get the calls. But Kavion McClain hit a shot when GCU was leading by 1. He hit a 3-pointer, and then the Wildcats hit free throws down the stretch.
That's how you win ball games.
Yeah. And GCU didn't hit shots. GCU had, I believe it was, if I look back at it, they had 6 total assists on the game. 5 of those assists came in the second half.
That means the ball was sticking.
So does it say more that ACU? Yeah, go ahead.
It means when you see 5 assists on a stat line, more often than not, it means that the ball is sticking. It's not being reversed. It's not being shared. And give ACU's defense a lot of credit for that. I mean, Brett Tanner has prided himself on that team's defense.
Yep. And here's another stat. ACU out-rebounded GCU 40-29 today. 16 of those 40 rebounds for ACU were offensive boards.
Yep, that'll do it.
So while people were screaming a foul at the way that the fouls were called and the foul shooting, there are some glaring stats that tell another story that cost GCU the ball game this afternoon. Okay. ACU had 12 assists to 6 for GCU. Bench points were 17-13 advantage ACU. I mean, it's just one of those things. If you're if you're GCU and you're getting out rebounded by ACU, who doesn't have the size that you do at GCU, yeah, that seems a little bit bigger of a problem. So I don't know. Tough road trip. There always happens to be those in the WAC. Like, that just happens. And everybody knows that playing in Stephenville is challenging. Okay, GCU lost by 19 there last year. And I know somebody said, well, it's a different team this year. You're right, but it's the same Wisdom gym. It doesn't matter who's playing in it. It's the same Wisdom gym. Okay? ACU has been playing really well right now. They just won I believe it was their 4th straight game. I'll have to go back and look at it here. But I mean, they've won at SFA. They beat CBU. Abilene Christian's won 4 straight right now. So give the Wildcats some credit. They dominated the boards. It wasn't the free throw shooting that cost a game. I mean, down the stretch of that ball game, Daryl, let me just go through this. If it'll pull up here. Yeah. So after Kavion McLean's 3-pointer gave ACU a 74-73 lead, because GCU had a 73-71 lead at that point. Tyan Grant Foster missed a shot, so they had to foul. Then Kavion McLean hit a pair of free throws. Then there was a missed 3-point jumper by Ray Harrison out of a timeout. Then they had to foul again, and then Arian Simmons hit 1 of 2. Then there was a missed layup by Ray Harrison following that 1 of 2 free throws from Arian Simmons. So missed layup, missed jumper, missed 3-point jumper. And that's how ACU was able to close out that game. So, I mean, I'm not trying to pick at this, and people say, well, you have GCU hate. No, I don't. I mean, GCU attacked against UT Arlington in those wins over the Mavs, where the Mavs led late, and they got to the free throw line. They shot 18 more free throws than the Mavs in those games. In most games this year, GCU shot more free throws than the opponent. And this week in Texas, it was a little different. Now, it's just one of those weekends. Somebody found a flaw or figured out a way to beat the Lopes, and that's what they did. So, I mean, it's nothing against GCU. They're still probably the best team in the league, but playing on the road is tough, especially when you've had a target on your back all season long, and you have this expectation that you're supposed to win the league for the first time outright, right? That you're supposed to be the one that's going to the WAC to the NCAA tournament. That you're supposed to be in that at-large conversation. That's a lot of pressure for any team. So, Tarleton and ACU figured it out, and that's the story of the weekend. Now, GCU has to win out, or Tarleton has to lose a game or two for the Lopes to clinch that WAC regular season title outright. So that's
Kyle, if they stay tied at the end, it's the WAC resume seeding system that determines. No, wait, second round tiebreaker, right? That determines the regular season champ.
So the only way that the WAC resume seeding comes into play is if they're tied for the 1 seed. They will, if they both end the season with the same record, they will be co-champions, just like we had 2 years ago when SFA, New Mexico State, and Seattle U were co-champions.
Okay.
That the resume seeding won't come into play. In WAC standings for the regular season title, there can be co-champions, guys. GCU will still most likely be the 1 seed unless they completely collapse here down the stretch with, I believe it's 3 losses. But GCU will still be the 1 seed to the WAC tournament. So
the points
that 2 seed, but Seattle U's right there. And we'll come back and talk more about some other games around the WAC, but ACU with a huge win that is going to create some chaos for the run to WAC Vegas, because now ACU is tied with CBU and SFA, who both lost today, and we'll get to that in about 30 seconds.
WAC Vegas is back. The best fans, championship basketball, all in exciting Las Vegas. Join us March 13th through the 16th at the Orleans Arena for the 2024 Hercules Tires WAC Basketball Tournament. Don't miss the crowning of a men's and women's champion. For more information, go to wacsports.com/WACVegas.
All right, I'm back. We are back here. We're going to talk about some other games around the WAC. Close the door, please, because I can hear Cleo. Sorry, guys. My little guy had to drop something off in my office. As you got to look, Cooper just stepped in. We got a comment here. 100% agree. We have been dominated in the paint our last 2 games. We went out, though. Lopes up. Okay, yeah, and that's the truth. So we'll see what happens with GCU down the stretch. Daryl, let's talk about some other games around the WAC right now. Like we said, Skylar Young, Seattle U women's basketball team went on the road and got a win over UTRGV to create that 5-team logjam for the A spot at WAC Vegas. 5 teams are within a game of each other. So, Daryl, I'm going to put you on the spot here on this straight out of WAC after hours. Who gets into WAC Vegas out of those 5 teams?
So let's see. We're looking at 5 teams for 2 spots.
For 2 spots.
It's
Southern
hard
Utah,
to bet against
UTRGV, Charleston, Utah Valley, and Seattle U.
It's hard to bet against Seattle U right now. And then for my money, I think Tracy Mason's bunch figures it out. They're in a favorable spot in the schedule. They've gotten through all the regular season title contenders, I think, except one. I think they might still have one with SFA left, but other than that, they're in a favorable spot. I think the 2 that get in as 7 and 8 are Seattle U and Southern Utah in no random order.
That's interesting because, and here's why. So if there's a tie with, say, a Utah Valley or a Southern Utah, well, let's say that the Seattle ties with, gosh, now we got to go back and look at it. I didn't write these numbers down. UTRGV and Seattle U split, so that's good. But in a chance that there's a tie for that A spot, it comes down to WAC resume seating, and I think that's where Seattle U doesn't make it because they are so far behind in the WAC resume seating system that I don't think Seattle U gets in. I'm trying to pull it up right now. My page isn't pulling up. But yeah, there's a lot to go. I just don't think I'm trying to pull up here. I don't think Seattle U has enough chances to move up in the resume seating system to catch like a UTV, Utah Valley, or Southern Utah if there is a tie. Because they're like over 3 points behind and they only have 3 games to play. So I don't think there's enough games there for Seattle U to catch it. So I'm going to say on the women's side, oh, this is tough. I
just don't know how the breakers are going to fall.
And I think UTRGV are going to get that. I do. So we'll see what happens there on the women's side. If anybody's listening out there, who do you think are going to be the 7 and 8, the final 2 teams that get into WAC Vegas on the women's side? Obviously, right now, ACU is comfortably in because they have a 2-game lead over Southern Utah, and UTRGV, they have a 3-game lead over Tarleton State with 4 to play. So ACU needs 1 win to clinch their spots, or a Tarleton or Utah Valley or Seattle U loss. So I know ACU plays at Utah Valley in the final season or final week of the season. So yeah, so we'll see what happens there. Anyways, let's talk about a couple other games around the we'll talk about the GCU and CBU women's teams. They both kept pace with one another. We've already mentioned that. Jared Olson's team hit 23-pointers today in their win, and Molly Miller's team got the win over ACU. Both the Lancers and Lopes, like we said, meet in Phoenix to end the regular season. The Utah Valley men won their 5th straight today with 71-62 win over SFA at UCCU Center. Ethan Potter, with him in the starting lineup, Utah Valley's 5-0, and he went for 17 points and 9 rebounds in Saturday's win. Todd Phillips found a diamond in the rough. Potter got more playing time against SFA back in January, and since that time, in 8 of 9 games, he has scored 12 or more points.
That's impressive.
That is very impressive. Ethan Potter doing big things for Utah Valley right now. I think I mentioned this. UTRGV men have been eliminated from contention for WAC Vegas after the loss at Seattle U. With just 4 games to play, there is no way the Vaqueros can catch ACU in the 8th spot, as the Wildcats, SFA, and CBU are all 7-9. And so there's no way UTRGV could win 5 games to catch them. So UTRGV has been eliminated from contention for WAC Vegas. That's one team, Daryl, that's out. Everywhere else, there's still a race on for everything.
With 2 weeks left.
With 2 weeks left. Anybody else want to comment? Who do you think is making it to WAC Vegas on both the men and the women's side? Right now, there are, on the men's side, we'll get to it here. There are, what do we got? There are 9 teams, I feel like, vying for one spot, basically. Because I think, so SFA hosts, or is at CBU and at GCU next week.
Yep.
Then CBU hosts UTRGV and SFA. So CBU's, I have a feeling they're going to win one of those games, at least, to clinch their spot. SFA may have to wait till the final week of the season when they host Southern Utah and Utah Tech to potentially clinch their spot. And Abilene Christian is kind of funky. They go to, so Abilene Christian has 4 games left. They go to Southern Utah on Thursday, to Utah Tech on Saturday, and then they host Seattle U and Utah Valley. So
that's not an easy stretch run.
No, I was just thinking that Tarleton has to go to Southern Utah or Utah Tech and then Southern Utah. So who is making it to WAC Vegas out of those teams on the men's side? Comments as you're watching this, guys, because that race is pretty wild. UTRGV's out. Southern Utah hosts 2 home games. They host Abilene Christian and Tarleton, who they beat on the road back in January. 2 wins there.
I think they're in, aren't they?
Could vault them above ACU if ACU loses both games this week, because they would have the season sweep over ACU. The only thing that would be a hiccup for them is in the WAC resume seeding if Utah Tech gets a win over ACU or over both too. If Utah Tech sweeps, because Utah Tech is higher in the resume seeding, but it would also give Utah Tech 8 wins compared to just 6 for Southern Utah. So it'd be Southern Utah and Abilene Christian that would be on the outside looking in. It'd be Utah Tech that would be in that 8th spot, possibly, up higher in the standings, depending on what SFA and CBU do this weekend. This is awesome, guys. Like, UTA men's, yes, they had a huge win today against Utah Tech at College Park Center. The dynamic duo, I believe it was, I had it up here, and now I need to go back and look at it. But the big 3, Dejuan Gordon, Mekhi Williams, Philip Russell, went for like 51 points of the 80-some-odd points that UTA scored today. And they clinched their spot at WAC Vegas. So they're on their way. KT Turner, there's a likelihood that the Mavericks could finish KT Turner's first year with a winning record, Daryl. How impressive would that be?
That's impressive. I mean, you look at where UT Arlington was when he got there to start the year. that's 1 year does not a turnaround make, but that is a really good job for them to go from where they were last year to. Is the 4 seed still attainable for them in a bye?
They're in the 4 seed spot right now. They have about a 7 or 8 point lead over Utah Valley right now, or half of 0.8 or 0.7 point lead over Utah Valley right now.
That's impressive.
So yes, it's very attainable to be a top 4 seed.
They've competed with quality teams. They've competed against the Power Fives that they've played, except for, was it Texas Tech, I think? They've been in pretty much every game.
No, it was North Texas.
Oh, North Texas. Okay.
Yeah, that North Texas game, I think, was an anomaly for that. And the Arizona game, where they played well for a half and then got blown out in the second half.
No, KT Turner's done a wonderful job down there at College Park Center. Him and Joseph Jones, I would argue, have done the 2 best jobs of any first-year coach in the country.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And Joseph Jones wasn't even the head coach
To start the
year. He
year.
was just the associate head coach, yeah. So that makes it even more impressive, I think. Even though he's been with Billy Gillespie for a long time and he was an All-American at Texas A&M, or Hall of Famer at Texas A&M, excuse me. So he knows how to coach. But anyways, let me go back to this box score for Utah Tech at UT Arlington. Philip Russell had 20 points. He came off the bench today. Mekhi Williams had 23, so that's 43. And then Dejuan Gordon had 17. So they combined for 60 points. 60 points out of the Mavericks' 89 points. So the big three is playing well right now. Dejuan Gordon had another double-double with 17 points, 10 rebounds. I like this Mavs team. I said it the other night. I think UT Arlington is a team that nobody wants to catch in Las Vegas. I really don't. I just really that's all I'm gonna say about that. I've said it on another Straddle WAC After Hours. I'm gonna say it again. Nobody wants to see UT Arlington at WAC Vegas. Nobody does. Jason, I'll come back to your comment here, but let's go to Nathaniel Loper. I hope I say that right. Is Mekhi Williams in the running for WAC Freshman of the Year? Yes. I would say absolutely 100% yes. I don't know that there's any other freshmen in the league. Well, him and Emmanuel Innocente. Those two are going to be together in that conversation. Those are the 2 guys that I think are going to be in that race. So Mekhi Williams has better numbers offensively, but Innocente is so good for the Texans, Daryl. Like, so good. So good. Jason says UTA is definitely dangerous. Yes, they are, because they can shoot the 3. They're defending. They're healthy. All right. And they're playing a bunch of guys. They're not going to have tired legs at Las Vegas. I mean, in their win today, Mekhi Williams played 30. Dejuan Gordon played 37. Shamar Wilson played 30. That's it. Philip Russell, who had 20 points, played 27 minutes. So they're not going to have tired legs when they get to Las Vegas. That's a huge thing, right? Jason also has this comment: just to think SFA could fall out of top 8 on the men's side is crazy. It is if you're not looking at their schedule. Like, that loss to ACU in Nacogdoches, 2 weeks ago now? Or a week ago? Last week. Yeah, last Saturday was huge. Here's why, Daryl: because they had to go to Seattle on Thursday. They had to play at Utah Valley today. They have to play at CBU on Thursday. And then they have to play at GCU on ESPNU next Saturday. Like, that's why winning at home is so big, because you have these stretches of 4 games on the road. So,
and that's a murderer's road, 4-game road trip. And you said it, playing in Phoenix is one of the toughest things probably to do in all of college mid-major college basketball, if not all of college basketball.
Yeah. I mean, the Wolves haven't lost at home. So,
and it's for Bryce Drew's crew, home sweet home.
Yeah.
They definitely need home sweet home this week.
According to his post-game presser, the rules of basketball are different in Phoenix than they are in Texas. I didn't say it. I'm just going by what was said in a post-game presser. Just saying. Anyways, guys, like I said, comment below out of Utah Tech, Abilene Christian, CBU, SFA, and we'll even throw Southern Utah in there too. So 5 teams right now. Who's not going to WAC Vegas? I would love to see the comment on who you think is not going to WAC Vegas. That'd be awesome. So make a comment, share with us. We'll see it. We'll pop it up here. We're going to come back in 30 seconds to kind of talk more about what's at stake over the next 2 weeks for a multitude of teams.
WAC Vegas is back. The best fans, championship basketball, all in exciting Las Vegas. Join us March 13th through the 16th at the Orleans Arena for the 2024 Hercules Tires WAC Basketball Tournament. Don't miss the crowning of a men's and women's champion. For more information, go to wacsports.com/WACVegas.
Man, I feel like my internet is struggling tonight, guys. Is that like hiccup for you guys too? I hope it doesn't. My live stream internet is being a pain right now. So, yeah. Anyways, we'll answer another question. Nathaniel, does GCU hang on to win the WAC, or does Tarleton take it away?
Tarleton has all the momentum right now.
I don't know. That trip to Southern Utah and Utah Tech's always a challenge too. Like, I mean, and considering that the T-Birds already knocked off Tarleton in Stephenville, and Utah Tech, plays well at the Burns Arena.
I think the better question is, does Tarleton split? Does Tarleton split this trip? Or
the weekend? Yeah, I could see Tarleton splitting the weekend. Honestly, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to take anything away from Tarleton. It's just knowing that travel and knowing those arenas and how both the Trailblazers and the T-Birds play at home. That could be a tough road trip. Not gonna lie, that could be a very tough road trip. GCU, I think, is going to win out. They only have 3 left, so they get UTRGV and SFA at home, and then they're at CBU to end the regular season. So I think they're going to win out. So Tarleton has to win out to win a share of the regular season title. That is a tall task with where they have to go and who they have to play over the final 4 games, because they still have to host Seattle U and Utah Tech or Utah Valley on the final week of the regular season. So that'll be very interesting. Jason has a couple comments here. SFA has a tough schedule to finish, so them and SU along with UTRGV, that's who he's predicting doesn't make it to WAC Vegas. Is SFA, Southern Utah, and UTRGV. We already know UTRGV's out, so it'll be very interesting to see if that prediction comes true. I'm going to hold you to that, Jason. SFA, SU, and UTRGV. And then he has another comment here. Tarleton has won 8 straight. They would have to win 12 straight, and that's tough. So here's the thing. Do you want to win 12 straight, win a share of the regular season title for the first time in the Division I era, and go into WAC Vegas red hot, or maybe have a loss there, get that off your chest or something, and then roll into WAC Vegas, maybe winning your last 2 and then having that, bye to the semifinals? That's another good question.
No coach likes to lose. And I'm pretty sure Joseph Jones is like every other coach in America. I don't want to lose going into the conference tournament.
Yep.
If I'm going to lose somewhere, I'm going to lose in the conference tournament.
Yep.
And if they win out, they stand a darn good chance of winning the first regular season title in Tarleton's Division I existence.
Yep. And how mad would GCU fans be if the Lopes and the Texans were co-champions of the Western Athletic Conference in 2023-24 after all that's gone on?
Considering they had a 2.5 game lead just 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I can't imagine what Phoenix will be like if that scenario plays
Jason, I love this quote. This quote is from Major League. When they learned that Rachel Phelps was trying to make it so they lose every game so she could sell the team. And Jake Taylor comes up with the quote, well, there's only one thing left to do. And he doesn't say the whole damn thing. It's the whole, I can't say it on film or else I would say it. But Great quote, great thought there. It's going to be fun. I think, but like I said, Tarleton, depending on what CB or Seattle U does, I think Tarleton's locked into the 2 seed. GCU's into the 1 seed. Tarleton, at least, that's cool that they'd be the 2 seed because they would get to play on ESPN. I think it's on ESPNU.
ESPNU is the second semifinal.
Yeah, so they get to play on national television in that second semifinal.
And Tarleton is not a brand a lot of people know nationally.
Yeah.
Tarleton is a brand that a lot of us know just because if you are in the WAC, you hear us talk about them constantly.
Yep.
For the good things they've done this year and for the good things they've done over the course of their Division I transition on the men's side, and even on the women's side. But for Tarleton to stay in that 2 seed and get that semifinal game on an ESPN linear network would be huge for their branding, their perception nationally. And for the story of this team under interim coach Joseph Jones, who, and I think I've said this before, I think they're probably the best story in mid-major college basketball that nobody is talking about outside of us.
Well, they got some notoriety for that win over GCU on Thursday night. Like, there's a lot of people tweeting about that game and what Joseph Jones has done. I saw a lot about it. And I had said, I had tweeted out, I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago about, that Joseph Jones needs to be in that discussion for coach of the year. Like, he has to be.
Absolutely.
I mean, if he's not, and everybody thinks that Bryce Drew's going to win it, he probably will. But if Joseph Jones and the Texans win a share of the WAC regular season title,
interim coach and all,
Joseph Jones may be voted on by his peers as the coach of the year.
I could totally see that
because you're
happening.
taking a team that I think was predicted low in every single preseason poll, and now they win a share of the WAC regular season title. Like, that's so far away though. Like, 2 weeks is so far away to figure that out. But I mean, man, the fact that we're even talking about Tarleton in this discussion, like, that says a ton.
It does. And with what they lost to the portal too.
Yeah. Freddie Hicks, Shamir Bogues, Shakur Daniel, Tiger Booker, Javante Hopkins, like, all those guys gone. Like,
it's
just
practically
crazy.
a new roster. But then again,
I mean, there's a couple holdovers between Ja'Cory Smith, Keandre Gaddy, and Lou Williams, but still, like, that's a lot to lose.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's the landscape of college basketball now, unfortunately.
Well, and we're talking about Tarleton a lot here. Let's give some credit where credit due. A couple weeks ago, it looked like Utah Valley was dead to the water, right? And now they've won 5 in a row. They won a pair of road games too, so that's impressive going into the final stretch of the season where they have 3 left. They host UT Arlington next Saturday, and they go on the road to ACU and Tarleton to finish up the regular season. ACU has won 4 straight now, starting with that epic win over SFA, where they came back from 15 down over the final 11 minutes or so. Tarleton's won, I believe, 8 or 9 in a row now? 8 in a row? I think it was 8 in a row. Yeah, they've won 8 in a row, right? UT Arlington's won 3 in a row. Seattle U has won 4 in a row and making some noise. And they beat GCU this year. So I don't know. It's going to be a fun race. I feel bad for the Vaqueros. I mean, they're just banged up all season long. I'm interested to see what they do the rest of the way. Now they've technically been eliminated from, WAC Vegas contention. So somebody asked, can you predict the final men's WAC stand? Oh, no. I'm going to say no.
Think if you gave us a crystal ball, I don't think we could do that.
Not a chance. Not a chance. If I go back and look at it, I'm going to say Grand Canyon 1, Tarleton 2, Seattle 3.
Are you talking about with what you started with?
No, just what I'm thinking I'm going to see with the standings at the end of the season. Let me look at one thing here. I'm going to go, so Grand Canyon, Tarleton, Seattle. I think UT Arlington and Utah Valley finish at, I'm going to say 11 and 9, both of them. No, I'm going to say God, I don't know, Daryl. Like these people, they're asking a lot. I'm sorry, Nathaniel. I'm not going to answer that because I just don't know. It's because some teams play 4 games and the other teams play 3 games, so it's hard to tell who's going to do what, right?
Yeah, and especially with the GCU men not getting their bye until the last week.
Yeah, they get to wait a week before they go to CBU. That's the other thing. Like the CBU women have to play on Thursday night, and then they have to go to GCU. So
yeah, they host UTA on that Thursday, and then they fly to Phoenix.
Oh yeah, so there you go. Like they're hosting a very good UT Arlington team, and then they have to travel, the 5 hours or so to Phoenix to take on GCU on Saturday afternoon. So yeah, Nathaniel, I can't predict it. I'm sorry. I wanted to, but I just can't. And we're going to leave it at that. It should be a fun 2 weeks. It really should. There's a lot at stake, a lot of matchups that could determine some WAC Vegas bids, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Daryl, what do you think as we wind down here?
Yeah, this week on the women's side, absolutely huge, with both of the contenders visiting Nacogdoches. Here's the simple truth of it. Leonard Bishop's team has got to win both of those games to give themselves a chance.
Yep.
If they lose one, they're done.
Yep.
And then it just becomes a CBU-GCU race like most of us thought it would be.
Yep. I don't know that we thought it would be. I thought it would be GCU running away with it. I think I've had, God, who else do we have up there? SFA was maybe up there. I don't remember. I don't think we had CBU in the 2 spot, though. Did we? No,
I think we put CBU as the 3, or at least the coaches did.
Yeah, so I mean, it's impressive what Jared's.
and
you're not making us work too hard.
No.
We're all in this, but it's so hard to predict because of the uncertainties of the scheduling. Like Tarleton has to go on the road for 2. ACU has to go on the road for 2. Utah Valley gets a week off before they host UT Arlington, who has to play at Seattle U on the Thursday before they come down to Utah Valley. SFA and UTRGV are on the road, right? Again, Tarleton, like it's just there's so many variables at play here that it's hard to predict. I really do think GCU is going to win the regular season title. I think Tarleton finishes 2nd. Seattle finishes 3rd. I think UT Arlington will finish 4th. Even if Utah Valley beats them this Saturday, they have a more favorable home game to end the regular season than Utah Valley does a road trip to Abilene Christian and Tarleton. So that's where I think the top 6 or 7, happen. CBU, Stephen F. Austin, Abilene. The bottom 6, I don't know. The top 5, I'm pretty confident with, but the bottom 6, I don't know. So, anyways, Daryl, we're going to end this live stream, guys. It is the most wonderful time of the year, that's for sure, 100%. And we are less than 3 weeks away from WAC Vegas. Like I said, 3 weeks from tonight, we will crown a men's champion and a women's champion at the Orleans Arena. Looking forward to it. We will be there. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button so that you don't miss these episodes. We're going to bring you a couple more. We're going to do more than just 2 a week. We may do a 3rd one on a Monday or Tuesday. I'm still debating over the next couple weeks, but be sure to tune in, share your comments, share your thoughts, and we love the interactions. And everybody have a good rest of your nights. Remember, there is going to be a Sunday, and there is going to be a next Thursday where your team gets to take the floor once again.
Thanks for listening to the Straight Outta WAC podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting platforms. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember to follow WAC Hoops Nation on all your favorite social media platforms.